Hello, thanks for tuning in and welcome to the pool party. I hope you can swim because we're definitely diving into the deep end with a huge splash of truth, facts, evidence, information, and proof. Swim. Say what you mean. It's talk about talking. How we listen, how we hear, how we speak, how we hear what we're listening to when we speak, how a listener hears what we're saying, if what we're saying, what they're actually hearing and or understanding. Is it clear? Swim. Say what you mean. Well, that's just the beginning of understanding, because after we get that understanding, how do we accept it? How we respond if it's not what we expect is paramount. Are you okay with the truth? Are you man, woman, human, or spiritual enough to accept the truth? Let's find out. Welcome to the SWYM-ing Pool with your host, Travis Bridges.
That would be me. Hello, how you doing? How you doing, friend? Here's hoping you are having a wonderful win-win Wednesday. That is. It's another edition of the SWYM-ing Pool. I am your host, Travis Bridges, and welcome. Do I look serious right now? Well, it's because I've had one of those days, and I'm feeling a little funky, if I may say the least. So, yeah, I'm going to need you to pray for my little attitude tonight, because I have a subject tonight that's going to be hot. Oh, man, what did I do? Let me just start it like from the top, like I like to do. My subject tonight is a little heavy. I've been talking about gays and lesbians. I've been talking about a couple of other things that I kind of let slide. I'm not done with that. I just couldn't get my guest on like I wanted to tonight because internet connections. But I'm going to be a little shorter than normal tonight. Instead of a full hour, I'm going to go maybe a half hour. But my subject tonight is on an inheritance for your children's children. Generational wealth and slavery. I don't have a serious format as to how I'm going to go, and I'm just kind of hoping it kind of all goes together. I used to listen to this pastor. I'm not calling any names, but I used to listen to, this preacher that I used to listen to. I still listen to the person, and I would be listening to the service in the beginning, and I would be like, what are they talking about? What do they mean? But then something would say, just keep listening. And then what I would do is just that, they amen here and there, and I would do my little claps here and there. And by the time that message gets to the end, it starts coming together. I'm like, oh, it makes sense now. So I'm thinking I'm going to kind of be like that tonight. I'm going to say a whole bunch of things, and I'm just hoping that the Holy Spirit will help me bring it all together. So my subject tonight is generational wealth and slavery. And why am I talking about generational wealth and slavery? It's a tough subject, like a lot of the things that I'm probably going to be getting into that have been tough and that are tough and that will be tough. So I'm going to talk about generational wealth, and one of my favorite books talks about leaving an inheritance to your children's children. I can see why that's important, because if we bring children into the world, we should be able to sustain them, and it's important to be able to take care of yourself and your children and even your children's children. So the Bible mentioning that, it just makes sense. And so many things, in my golden ages is starting to come together, and it's starting to make more sense than it did when I was much younger. So I guess I'm going to have this as one of those subjects that I'll continue to talk about, over the next few weeks. I'm not finished with gays and lesbians. I do have another guest that I'm going to bring on probably within the next week or so before we close out that segment. But thank you so much for hanging out. And I do see that I've got some issues with my signal. I'm not going to worry about it. Let me just turn this off. If I'm on, I'm on. If I'm not, then I won't be. Let me just disconnect this. Oh yeah, it looks like I'm already disconnected. And I see it pulsating here. I don't know why. Maybe I'm fine and just don't know it. Wow. If I'm on and there is no breaking, just type in the message box there that everything is okay. But it looks like I've got an issue here, and if I do, then so be it. Just stay with me here. Somebody text me something in the box to let me know that I'm still on. Wow, what's going on here? Says that I'm still on. I ain't even gonna say nothing. Oh, she says I'm good. Okay, so I'll keep going. Okay, so let me get this going here so I can. Yeah, okay. All right. So generational wealth and slavery. So I'm trying to be cool with this. If you have labor and it's free for a long time, you can really get ahead, can't you? And I'm saying slavery when I say labor. I'm trying to be careful with what I'm saying, because this is, a tough subject. Many people won't talk about it, and people that are affected by slavery, are the ones that I guess I'm going to be targeting. Normally, that would be in America, in particular, people with skin that looks like mine. Our ancestors were from Africa, and we all know the story, how we were transported, from the motherland to, a country. And for a certain amount of years, they say 400. And if it's 400, then okay, fine. But for a certain amount of time, there was a certain amount of treatment that, people that look like me, our ancestors, kind of sort of received, so that the country could get ahead. And I must say that people talk about in other countries how the USA is one of the most awesome countries in the world, and how it's the land of the free and the home of the brave. And, all that stuff sounds good. And there's a lot to it that is true. But if you look at how it became that from its inception, so to speak, you will see why it's all of those things. Because I had some notes here. When you get a loan, and that's another part of this generational wealth and lending money and borrowing money and stuff. You hear these advertisements that say 90 days, same as cash. The reason 90 days, if you profit in any way from free labor, you have an advantage. Exactly. Yeah, we're going to get into that. Thank you, Tasha. So if you get a loan on something and you have to pay for something, and, the lender will say, we're going to give you 90 days, same as cash, or 90 days, no payment. What that means is we're going to give you this money. We're going to set you up, and we're going to give you 3 months to not have to pay, so that it can be easier for you. That's sort of like a head start, and it works. If people get a loan and they feel like they can get 90 days before they have to pay, that's like, having cushion, having a safety helmet on or some pads. It kind of does something, for your financial situation. So when you leave an inheritance for your children's children, it's only the best thing to do, so that your children can also get a head start. And if you start a business, like maybe let's say a country, and you need to get ahead, and you can get labor, at no cost, you are going to be successful. And, 400 years later, you can, have control of maybe the world, or maybe even the universe, as a result of that. And I'm just kind of feeling it today, because, being, at my age and space and time in life, I'm starting to feel some of the things that I never understood. And I can see how there's a disadvantage. I want to use the race card, but I'm not going to do that. It's not necessary. I'm going to use the disadvantaged, the poor, or the less advantaged card instead of, the race card. So I'm going to talk about people that are poor. And that could be anyone, not necessarily someone, with skin that looks like mine. And I'm thinking, in the early days of, the USA in particular, getting started, racism and, racism was heavy, and people that didn't look like me, that maybe had lighter skin, if I could say non-black folk, they had a disadvantage just because of the color of their skin. And it was cool. The only difference, well, I want to say the only difference, but one of the bigger differences, they didn't actually receive the same treatment. They weren't slaves, or they weren't beaten or kicked or sold or, treated harshly as a result of being a slave or less than human. But as time went on and as slavery started to fade out, that colorism or color of skin, still has its place, but it started to kind of lean more towards, the color of the dollar bill and whatever color that is. And it could have been in silver and gold, or now in notes that we call dollars, or what do you call it? Dividends, or, money in the bank. So, people that are less advantaged just, kind of receive the same thing that maybe, slaves may have received. They don't get the same treatment. They don't get the same housing. They don't get to wear the same clothes. They don't get the same education. And now that we're in 2021, you might have what they might call light skin privileges or white privileges. But your pocket really is what it matters, because it doesn't matter. I think slavery in its own way, for what it means, still kind of exists, in its own way, because, people still work really hard and they still don't have enough, to meet some of their needs. I'm finding that many people who work for what we call the minimum wage, has just enough to survive. People that work for minimum wage, they can't save for, college tuition, or if they get ill and don't have insurance, they can't go to the hospital or the doctor or get their teeth cleaned or fixed or anything like that. They can't go on vacation, and they sometimes don't have a car or clothes. Tasha says they have limited access, and they do. And I'll say we do, because I haven't been fortunate to be one of those with generational wealth. And people that are poor, they do have to work a little extra harder. People that have lower credit scores, or people that are poor, they end up paying more in interest. They end up working longer and harder hours. And whether it's right or not, it is what it is. And all I'm doing is just talking about it, because I have been and I still am affected by it. And I don't like it. I don't know, what to say. I'm just kind of airing it out right now. And I guess if I had a therapist, and it looks like I have 5 other people on, you guys are my therapist for tonight. I'm having an issue with the disadvantage that poor people or certain types of people have, in society. And it happens everywhere, not just in your city or state or your country. It happens kind of sort of everywhere. It's just not fair. And I guess fair is, life isn't fair, so they say. But if you have a few hundred years of free labor, you are going to generate quite a bit of wealth, and you are going to have a certain class of people that are going to have a whole lot more than those other people that are less at advantages, less or are at a less advantage. And I'm just going to say that it kind of hurts a little bit, and I'm just kind of feeling it. And sometimes people that are disadvantaged, they don't know why they feel a certain way, but they do, and then they won't talk about it. People that go through repossessions, foreclosures, evictions, it's kind of embarrassing. You don't talk about it when someone calls your house and they're looking for money, that you owe at a high interest rate and you can't pay it. And you don't go and tell anybody, it's kind of embarrassing. So you just let them take your house or take your car or take your stereo, or how about those rims? They come and take those rims off your whip. And you can't do anything about it, but you were at a disadvantage before you even got that money. You were at a high interest rate and you were kind of sort of behind the eight ball. And I kind of want to talk about something, kind of jumping off subject a little bit. I was talking with another friend about this earlier this week. There are a certain class of people who like rims. Or things that are flashy, like maybe even gold teeth or gold chains or rings or stuff like that. Someone may look at that and say, okay, that's crazy. Why do they do that? Why do people take their money and do what I heard a very wealthy person say poor people do? They say they buy liabilities instead of assets. When you don't have that kind of mindset or that kind of knowledge or that kind of wealth, you really don't know what to do. And since as humans, we want to feel good. We live, to feel good, and to buy rims for a certain class of people, that's our wealth. That's our place in society that maybe we made it. Or to have some gold jewelry or some matching sneakers or some expensive sneakers. It says something, about where we want to be. You don't have the wealth, and you take what you have just so that you can have a little piece of what we may feel is something good. So yeah, I'm kicking the ball around a lot, talking about generational wealth, free labor, and slavery, and how having an advantage, is sort of kind of a good thing. That doesn't mean that people who don't, let's just say there are some people who do have generational wealth and they have a silver spoon, so to speak, in their mouths, and then they kind of mess it up. Or they have other problems. They say sometimes money doesn't make you. If you have money, you have more problems. Biggie said it, more money, more problems. Okay, so be it. But I'm not talking about the exception. I'm talking about, the rule. And the bottom line is there are a certain class of people that are disadvantaged. And I want to say that there are people who have skin that look like mine, particularly in my country. And then there's the people that are poor, that are less fortunate than some of those who may not have received generational wealth, or may not have hit the lottery, or may not have been fortunate to matriculate through a university and get a job, or maybe, I don't know, some people athletes in particular, or rock stars or artists, who are fortunate to get a lot of money in a short period of time for their special gifts, skills, and talents. And that would, of course, be the exception and not necessarily the rule. But the majority of people that look like me, in particular, if I'm wrong, then correct me, or people that are in my tax bracket, so to speak, people that are not as fortunate, we do have a rough time. And I'm not saying it's good, bad, or ugly. I'm not saying it's fair or unfair, but I kind of sort of feel that, and I don't like it. And I'm just talking about it. And I wished I had a guest that I could talk about it also. And I'm hoping that everything that I'm saying, I have some notes here, good or bad account of, what did I have for a long time? Oh yeah. Having free labor, or having that cushion in between, a loan. And let me just talk about loans. Loaning money, I think, is one of the best ways to be rich or even wealthy, because if you can lend money to people that are poor and make them pay it back, at an interest or a higher interest rate, you're really somebody, and you're really doing something. And there are certain lending institutions or certain kinds of people that can do that, where there's other people that can't do that. You just can't go out and just start loaning money and just, whipping people, if they don't pay you back, because I guess there's a law against that. But there's certain people that can do that. If I could start a lottery, like right now, if I could find 10 people and say, hey, listen, you give me $50, and then I'll give you half of the pot. when I draw it out on the end of the weekend. I can't do that as an individual, but states, countries, organizations, or whoever, they can do that, and that's how maybe they are rich. And yeah, I'm kind of rattling on. I didn't get my feelings together. I was just kind of in my feelings, and I hope I'm not getting myself in trouble. But I just want to talk about it again. When people have financial problems, they're embarrassed and they don't talk about it. They don't know why or how. They just hold their head down and just maybe buy some gold change or try to look like we're cool or like that we fit in. But with that being said, I can see that my internet connection, I don't know if it's good. Hey, if I'm still coming in clear and strong, just type me a text in there and just say, hey, you're still doing good. And I'm going to at least make it to 30 minutes, which is exactly 20 more minutes from now. And it's a different kind of live stream tonight because of the internet connection. I wasn't able to get my guest on, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen, and I still don't even know if I'm on right now. My monitor over here is not working. This one is showing me a signal that's not working. I can hear in my monitor here that I'm okay. But again, I'm talking about generational wealth. I'm talking about slavery. I'm talking about lending money. I'm talking about 90 days before you have to start paying it back, and how that head start makes a big difference. And how if you are a mother or father or parents, and you have something to leave for your children, it's a good thing. It's a good feeling to know that you have accumulated something, especially if you've struggled for it, and then you want to leave it behind for generational wealth. If you have children that are responsible and can manage and even maintain what maybe you have built, that's a good place to be. And I can't imagine any parent that would not want to leave an inheritance for their children's children, especially if they've struggled. And I can't imagine any child that may be disadvantaged that would not appreciate having parents, that opened the door and paved the way for them. And then, you don't have to do that with money. You can do that with love and care and attention. And I'll go ahead and speak for myself. I at one time was a single parent, and I didn't have a lot of money for my son. But you know what I did? I was there for him, and I will not wait for anybody to give me credit, and I'm not giving myself accolades. I just knew the importance and the value of giving your children, time and attention and the love that they need so that they can continue to be productive. If I had some wealth to pass down, I probably would have passed that down. But because I didn't have that in, dollars, I passed it along in cents. And I will say, sometimes I want to thump my son upside his head. But for the most part, I believe I gave him what he needed, whether he used it or not, or whether he wastes it or not. I think he had what he needed from a attention and love and responsible perspective. So I'm just going to leave that there and jump off my giving myself accolades boat. But again, if you are a parent and you don't have a lot of money and your parents didn't leave you money, give your children the love, time, and attention that they need, and it'll go a long way. It's just as good if you don't have the money to leave. But I kind of wanted to talk about that, how certain institutions, whether it's just a small business or a small business loan, if you are going to get a break, if someone's going to open up a door for you, or if you're going to be big and bad enough to go and take it, like if you can just, dominate people or press people and make them, give you what other people ordinarily would have to work for, you can be successful in your own way. But I guess it's kind of blood on your hands that, sometimes people will look the other way about. So I'm just kind of talking about it. Yes, it's kind of scary. And yes, it's a tough subject. But I just feel like talking, and I think things can be settled if we talk about it. We talk about restitution, what we're going to do. How do you pay it back? Well, there are many ways you can pay it back. I was listening to a very powerful leader that said, give some of those oppressed people some land and, in a certain country and just, support them for about 25 years, and then allow them to become economically strong. I hadn't heard that for a long time, and it hadn't, it hadn't become reality until I heard it again. When you hear something and you continue to hear it, you kind of sort of kind of makes sense. So I didn't think that was a bad idea back then, but I can imagine how and why it may have gotten shot down. Because anytime you can give someone a head start, like 90 days, same as cash, or 90 days before you have to pay, or how about we'll give you 10 states out of 50 or 52 states, and then you can go there and we are going to give you a head start and build up the economy so that you can become economically strong as a people, and see what that does. That's kind of scary when you think about it, especially with the certain influences that certain groups of people have. So I didn't hear it till recent. Well, I heard it before, but it didn't dawn on me until recently. Not the worst idea. I think I would be one of those people going to one of those states and just to see, just to participate in that movement. But I'm going to kind of leave that alone. And again, I'm just talking, and I hope I don't get myself in any kind of trouble. And if I do, can I apologize now for anybody that will be mad or upset? But I'm kind of sort of feeling myself today. I work hard. I'm a musician, voiceover talent. I write commercials and I produce spots, and I kind of work for myself. In my own way. People book me to go out and do gigs, and I'm working on my book that I'm hoping to release maybe in the mid to late summer of next year, but before next year's out. And it's talking a lot about some of the things that I talk about and have talked about, and even some of the things that I've held in for a long time. That's a whole nother story. But it's about that time for me to go, and I'm going to do just that. Hello to Christine. Tasha, thank you for hanging out. And I've got 5 or 6 other people in here that are out. You're still doing good. Thank you. You have limited access. I did read that before. If you'd like to chat with me or like for me to talk about a subject, I'll just sit here and talk about it. Hopefully I'll have a guest. If I do, that's good. And if I don't, I guess that's still good. Send me an email to travisbridges2@aol.com. That's Travis Bridges and the number 2. As I said earlier, and even in my text, over the next couple of weeks, I'll be in transition, and I will be making some other moves, and probably be getting restabilized again so that I can do some different stuff. Some of the visions that I have inside for my live stream are going to come into fruition as I restabilize. So bear with me. Thanks for your patience. And guess what? I think I have 497 subscribers right now. That's a long ways from 16 when I first started with the COVID concert series live from the Hollywood home studio. But it is what it is. And when I can get 1,000, I can do more stuff on the road. So I would appreciate it if you let people know to let other people know just to subscribe. I used to hear other YouTubers talk about hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. I'm not into that. I don't guess my channel is, available for monetization right now, and I guess I'm okay with that. But whenever it is, and that's good. Right now, I'm concerned about subscribers, so I can be more portable, so that I can go live from my phone instead of having to be stable in a room like this. And I don't mind this, but 1,000 subscribers do sound good. That means I have a few people watching and listening to me. I do have a whole lot more to say, and I'm going to say it for as long as I can say it. Thank you in advance. Thank you for everybody that has been supporting what I'm doing. I do have a mission. I do have a vision, and I'm going to continue to move forth with it. So with that being said, I am looking for here it is, my promo, and I'm going to go. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back next Wednesday. I think it'll be the last broadcast that I'll do from this actual location, so it may change a little bit because I'll be packing up and becoming restabilized in my original location. But thanks again. It's been a good ride. I've had a good time writing the book. I've got a lot of material documented, and over the next couple of months or so, I'm going to be editing it and putting it together, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you get something out of it, because I'm telling the good, the bad, and the ugly, and it's going to be what it's going to be. So again, hey, Robin, she's saying have a good night. Thank you so much. I've been trying to call you. I got something for you. I've been kind of holding off on it, but I think it's time to let it go. So I'll probably call you today or tomorrow and go ahead and drop that on you as something real good. You're going to appreciate it. So with that being said, thank you. Have a great rest of the week. Find somebody that you need to say I love you to, and don't just say it. Find a way to show it, okay? Christine, Tasha, everybody else that's with me, and everybody else that'll watch it later. I think I have some stealth people that wait until it's over and then watch it later, kind of in secret. If that's you, thank you. I appreciate it. I really, really do. Till next week, take good care of yourself. I love you.
The Swimming Pool with Travis Bridges is a talk segment about talking. Talk about talking? Yes, talk about talking. It's designed to bring awareness to how we listen, how we hear, and what we do with the information we receive during communication. The mind is automatically programmed to protect the body and soul. It displays that through each and every encounter we experience. If any part of the body is threatened, the mind will automatically issue the flight command. The flight command to retreat to safety. Well, that same command is also deployed when our ego is threatened. The ego, yes, the ego. It's so natural and common, it happens oftentimes without us even knowing. Engaging in conversation and staying focused on what is present is considered mental fitness. It strengthens our emotions and helps us to gain control of our circumstances instead of having our circumstances overtake our thinking and our very existence. It's a difficult task to achieve because our feelings, beliefs, and desires are so strong that it causes us to totally disregard even the most common or basic reasoning. This live stream is only here to bring awareness to that subconscious process. Nothing or no one is actually wrong. However, the idea of being open to anything outside of what we've already concluded is golden, especially if the new information is transparent. The SWYM developers would like to say thanks for supporting, watching, listening, and sharing this information. Now, back to the swimming pool. Let's dive in and swim.